We are here live on episode number 16 of the No BS Show. Today we have Territorial Manager Taylor Garland. He's by far got the best beard in the company and is the second best dressed next to myself, of course. So welcome to the show here today.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. So you started working with Riverside a few years ago. We're going to kind of talk a little bit about the journey you've had here and some of the things that I know a lot of people really run into just in their daily lives when they're going through their career and as they're advancing in life. Why don't you tell us a little bit how you got started with Riverside, and then we'll jump into today's topic.
I started back in October of 2017.
Okay.
I had just chased my now fiance out to Oregon with kind of no job lined up, and she said,
chased
"Hey."
her. Did she want you to chase her?
Yeah, she definitely
okay,
had the chase coming. She asked me to come out here.
Nice.
I didn't have any jobs lined up, but she said her brother-in-law, Adam Harden, who's the national sales manager here,
Yes.
might be able to get me a job in sales. I said, sure, let's go for it. And then I went into training, I think, the next week. And then from there was just a lot of highs and lows, ups and downs, and kind of just figuring out my place both in like a new geographical place, living across this country.
Yeah, because you lived in Boston, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So, I grew up on the Cape in Massachusetts, moved from Cambridge out here, and so just kind of getting adjusted to the, environment was tough, but then also adding on a new job was a little bit difficult. So, there was a lot of highs, a lot of lows, but, kind of through the first year of it, I kind of got a grasp on exactly, what I was doing, why I was doing it, and just kind of simplified it down so I didn't have to be as stressed on a day-to-day, and I could actually go out, enjoy my job, help people, and then make some money doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. So with that, when you're starting a new job, especially with moving and going to a whole new area and everything like you said there can be definitely a lot of stress and a lot of things that kind of take away from your focus and what you're trying to do on every single day out there. So tell us a little bit about some of those stresses, the highs and the lows, and what's the one thing that, or kind of that turning point that was able to really get you over the hump? Because kind of like you said, one of the things, you came in really hot, started killing it, had a little bit, if you hit a few rough spots like everybody does with outside sales, it's a tough gig, but then you're able to rebound time and time again, and now you've been killing it month after month, and one of our top producers, and been promoted to the Territorial Manager. So talk about some of the low points, because I know we've all been there, and some of us are going through it right now.
I came in pretty hot. I think one of my first deal or second deal was at 840.
Yeah.
And I just felt like I could reinvent the wheel.
Mm-hmm.
And so I took deals that, maybe it was just helping someone in a bad situation that anyone could have helped, and said, oh, that was all me, and tried to reinvent the wheel and go back out there. And I hit a huge slump because I wasn't following a system. I wasn't following any kind of scripting or strategy or anything. I was just kind of going wild with it, thinking that it was just me that could, do it.
Yeah.
And then I went like 6 or 7 weeks without a deal, and it, really hurt me. And it got me to kind of look back and say, what am I doing wrong?
Yeah.
Do I need to find a new job, or is there something I can do? Yeah. So I got really big into self-reflecting and made sure that after every appointment I was picking up something that happened that went well, that I could pat myself on the back for, and then something that not necessarily negative, but something I could improve on.
Yeah.
And I made sure to take at least one of each. So it was never just a negative thing. It was never just like a positive, but always just finding a way to improve. And then on Sunday prep day each week, I could look at how all my appointments went.
Yeah.
And I found that a lot of times I was thinking back, putting the blame on someone else, but when I was looking through my notes, I saw a lot of tendencies that was pushing back towards me.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then, kind of in that time, I had people, not necessarily family members, close friends, some family. My immediate family's been somewhat supportive, more so over the years, but I've had some people close to me that have been very critical of kind of just being in a sales job, not working with your hands, doing a blue collar set, wage each week, 9 to 5, break your back kind of thing, and kind of came at me saying what I was doing is not right.
Yeah.
And that kind of got to me. There was a big lull this past year, just from kind of holding on to that, and finally, I just kind of came to the conclusion, this is my life. It's my family. I know what's best for us. I know what's best for me. I know the path that I'm headed on. And it kind of came to, like what we talked about, a crossroads.
Yeah.
I could either go down the path that they think is right for me, that I know deep down isn't, and work a job that I'm unhappy in and miserable in day after day and not feeling fulfilled. One of the biggest things is you want to feel fulfilled in your job. Yeah. You don't just want to be, clocking in, clocking out, and, waiting for the weekend. You want to be excited to get up and go to work.
Oh, absolutely.
So, kind of at that crossroads, I said, you know what, I need to go down my own path. And it's going to be a challenge, and I might have to do it alone.
Yeah.
But it's something that I need to do, or I'll forever regret it. Having the ability to have an uncapped job where, you can make as much as you work. It's basically all on you.
Your paycheck.
Yeah, pretty much. And so, at that point we had that conversation. You implored me to hit at least 30 to 50 doors a day. If you're not helping out or touching as many businesses as you can, increase that until you are. Yep. And then you start getting referrals because your clients are happy, saving money, and they're saying, hey, help this person out, help that person out. And then all of a sudden you don't even have time to hit your own doors because you have a whole list of follow-ups of people that are asking you to come help them. Mm-hmm. And so, kind of once I dove in and kind of went all in, I made the adjustments I needed in my life. I talked to my fiance. I said, hey, throughout the day, positivity is so big on me. Don't come to me with negative stuff. Save that for the end of the day. We'll talk about it. We'll discuss it face to face. But during the day, I just need positivity. Yep. I just need some positive vibes. I need you to be positive. And so, it not only helped our personal relationship because we communicate so much better. Oh, absolutely. And we're on the same page. We actually barely ever even fight now because we're always on the same page and we communicate. We talk it out. Yeah. And so, kind of the success in your work life always correlates to the success in your personal life. Yep. And vice versa. Yeah. Kind of when you're feeling down at home and you got the negative energy from your personal life, it's going to inevitably affect your work life unless you make sure to, compartmentalize it, separate it and say, I know this is going on, but I need to leave it. I need to check it at the door. Mm-hmm. Because, when you're not believing in yourself and you're not confident and you're not fully there, people don't look at you, they don't respect you, they're not following you. Yep. If you don't believe in yourself, they don't. So I kind of just had that realization that I need to go 100% all in. And it doesn't matter, what I'm doing, I need to make the extra effort, whether it be stay out a few hours longer, work an extra weekend, whatever the case may be. So I made that big drastic change to drive to 2 hours to the coast and 2 hours home every single day. Yeah. And I knew that if I put myself in that position, it's going to be a lot harder to call it quits earlier in the day. You don't want to drive a 2-hour drive home with no deals, no quotes, and feeling like the day was wasted. Yeah, so you end up spending, staying there till 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night to get that deal, and then you come home with your head held high, but the second you get to the house, you're basically eating and going swan dive right into the bed. Yeah. And then the next day you're waking up, but it just, it's a lot more...
Develop those habits and those routines that you needed to be successful.
Yeah, I'm just kind of setting it so that I'm, because, the habits take so long to, or not so long, but, 30 days to really put in place. So in order to help that, I set myself in that outside territory, so I didn't have a choice. So it just became second nature, and now it doesn't matter if I'm working 5 minutes down the road or an hour or two away. I'm working those 10-hour days, 12-hour days, whatever it needs to be done. And, there are days where I've gotten three deals in the first, 2 or 3 hours of the day, but I keep pushing for more, because one of the biggest things that's been really awesome is just seeing it come around and, going into these smaller towns and knowing most of the business owners and, seeing, the benefits they've been able to receive from the savings and from the program, and actually having a company that they can talk to. And a lot of times, their current company didn't have a support or didn't have a contact, and all of a sudden they're now on a first name basis with me and their client success manager and their tech. And it's just, it feels great, almost feeling like a little small town celebrity for just helping out a business.
Everyone knows you're the Visa guy, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome. So I want to take a quick step back, and one of the things that, before you came to that crossroad or that turning point that you talked about was self-reflection. And I think that's something that's extremely powerful that really led to you being able to figure out what was working, what wasn't working, not only for your career, but then when you came to that crossroad, you were developing those habits of taking down the notes of each appointment, what went well, what didn't, how, what you did great, and how can you improve. And one of the biggest things with that is you develop those habits and those routine, and then when you came to that point where you had to make that decision of, am I going to go all in on this, or am I going to walk away and do something that I don't really want to do that I might regret, you develop the habit of self-reflection of knowing what you want. And I think that's the biggest thing where you're going through your life, and if you develop those habits of what you did great for the day, whether it's at work, whether it's in your personal life, your personal goals, or with your family, and then what can you do better? Because it's always about, hey, I did great. You want to have that positive, affirmations that go along with it. But how can you do better? Because if you're not getting better each day, you're getting worse. So with you developing those habits at work, with developing, what went well, what didn't, when it came to that big decision, you were able to actually self-reflect and think about what you really enjoyed and what you loved. and what did I want to do? Because the last thing you want to do is end up living a life full of regrets, right?
Exactly.
And that's one of the things that I think is really powerful that a lot of people can take from the story, is really being able to think about what's going to make you happy, right? The last thing you want is to work years and years at a job, 9 to 5, that blue-collar job, whatever, clocking in, clocking out, and have that set paycheck if you're going to be miserable 3 or 4 years down the road and then have to start over again from scratch, right? Because like you said, that's going to carry over into your personal life. If you're at work more than you're at home more times than not, right? So if you're miserable at work, you're going to go home still being miserable unless you're a phenomenal at compartmentalizing, right? And even if you're great at that, it still carries over. So that's one of the things. You need to make sure you enjoy your life, that you're happy, that you love what you do. Otherwise, it's going to snowball. So if you're in a really bad situation, you're not happy where you're at, I implore you to just make that decision, make that jump of self-reflect and figure out what it is you love to do and what you enjoy, because if you find that, it's amazing, like you said, how much better your whole life will be if you're happier with what you spend most of your time, and you're able to make more money if that's one of your goals and one of your whys as well. So that's one of the biggest things I picked up from the story there. Additionally, kind of the second thing is, you mentioned that when you came to that crossroad and you came to that decision, you decided to go all in, right?
Yeah.
So talk about how you kind of briefly touched on going all in. Talk a little bit more about the mindset and the how you decided and what you did to go all in.
Well, yeah. So I was kind of sitting there and I was thinking, if I stayed here and don't go all in, I could be, an average rep each month, kind of going through the same motions as doing that 9 to 5 job. And maybe it's not backbreaking, but it's not really rewarding. It's not paying off. It's kind of just staying in that no man's land.
Yeah.
So, I was like, you know what? I need to go in 120%, not just in the job, but in life in general.
Yeah.
So, making sure that I'm hitting enough businesses in a day. If I'm not getting the number of quotes or deals I want in a day, making sure that I'm staying and going out and hitting 50 or 40 or however many I need to hit, but then making sure that I'm utilizing my time, so I'm not just going back and forth, following up with a business 7 times, and they're just saying, come back later, and just acknowledging, hey, they're not looking to switch, they're not buyers, I need to move on, because there's so many businesses out there that need our help. And just prioritizing my time, it's working hard, but it's also working smart.
Yep.
You need to be able to know, hey, okay, this makes sense for us, let's move forward. Okay, you're not ready, that's fine, but I have other businesses I need to help, I need to move on to them.
Yeah.
And then going on to that, and then making sure that when you help someone, you sign them up, hey, is there anyone else that that would at least like to take a look at a quote from us? Maybe we can help them. And it's not necessarily saying, hey, let me sign up your friends, right? But saying, who do you know that I can help? Mm-hmm. And now you get to go to these businesses, and a lot of times it's in the local community where they know someone that you've helped. So now you get to go in and meet with them, and then also submerging yourself in things like the Chamber of Commerce, getting into associations, getting into big groups of people where you can help multiple at the same time, because maybe helping them doesn't bring you a huge monetary volume from that one person, but you help an association that has 1,000 people, and now you have not only their referrals, but you have all their business. You get to put your stamp on it. It's now your brand, and you're building up your own little army of people that you've been able to help.
Absolutely.
And then also within your personal life, knowing that it doesn't really just boil down to money. Mm-hmm. You can't let your personal life go to the wayside just by diving in. And it's the small things. Whether you have a loved one, a spouse, whatever it may be, taking that extra time, or hey, for me, I'm working by the hospital, I'm going to stop and buy 1 flower for my fiance, drop it off to her at work quickly, say hi, give a kiss and move on. And now, maybe it was a $3 flower, but that whole sentiment of doing that sparks up their energy, they're happy, they're excited, they know that you're working hard, but you're still thinking of them. And so a lot of times people think that you need a big grand gesture of, hey, we're going to spend $1,000 at a dinner, but it's just a little thing saying, hey, I am working hard, but you're still in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
I'm doing this for us. And then you get the support from them because they know deep down that you are doing it for them.
Mm-hmm.
They know that you're still thinking about them throughout the day, and maybe you're working 12 hours and that's tough because they don't get to see you, but they know that you're on their mind.
Yeah.
And so they start being supportive of you because they see what it's doing. Your work ethic is increasing, your money is increasing, your attitude's increasing, but most importantly, your positivity is increasing.
Yeah.
Everyone likes being around positive people. And if you think back to any relationship, the happiest times are when you're both the most positive, and the hardest times are when you're both negative.
Absolutely.
So just trying to make sure that you cut out any negativity, and it can be tough at times. Maybe it's a close family member that's being a huge critic.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a spouse, maybe it's a father, a daughter, a cousin, a friend, anyone, but making sure that, you're not spending time with the people that are being critical of you and being negative and then telling you can't.
Yeah.
I have tons of siblings, and they're all you can.
Yep.
And they support me no matter what endeavor I did. If I said I wanted to go start digging, being a coal miner, they would say, hey, if that makes you happy, I support you.
Yeah.
And so I surround myself with them. But when I have family members that are like, what you're doing is not what you should be doing. It's not what a man does.
Mm-hmm.
A man works with his hands. He does this and that. You shouldn't be doing that, making sure that you cut off that negativity. I'm just going to limit that. Maybe I see you at a family event once a year.
Use it as fuel to the fire to motivate you even more.
Fuel to the fire, but you're making sure that you're keeping those negative, you're silencing your critics and keeping them away. You want to surround yourself with people that are happy and you will be happy. Just like surround yourself with people that are successful, you'll be successful.
Yep, absolutely. And I think one of the big things with that too is, I'm a big proponent. You hear people say, give 120%, go, work 80, 90 hours a week, this and that, and do that 24/7. And I'm actually a big proponent of, going all in for a 30-day period and then reap the rewards for 90 days. One of the biggest, or one of my favorite analogies I've heard is, if you're a pilot and you're taking off, you have to floor it or push the throttle and go 100% on that throttle until you get to cruising altitude, and then you can coast back, and then the plane goes on autopilot, right? And that's the same thing in business or in life that I've always really done is go all in, give that, 70, 80 hours a week, 90 hours a week for a 30-day period, and then for the next 90 days, your pipeline is so full, or you have so much going on, or so many things set up, or so many wins because you did that for that period of time, you can kind of coast a little bit. But then you have to make sure that you keep punching it, because as you start to go down the land to get back up, you have to give 100% again, right? So you just have to be able to know that you have to put in that work and go all in, but then definitely take the time to enjoy it and then maximize every hour in the day. Like you just said, you can do those nice things and still have the family fun if you remember that hour or two of TV at the end of the day, or your video games, or whatever it might be. We have 18 hours in a day that we're not sleeping for the most part, most of us. So what are you going to do with that 18 hours in the day, right? That's the biggest thing. Working smarter and harder, go all in for a 30-day period, reap the rewards over that 90-day, and then just enjoy it from there, right? So that's the biggest thing that, when you're making that decision, know that. Go all in, get the support of your friends and family as well. That's the other thing that I really took from the story there is you sat down with your fiance, your family, and you got the support from them that I'm going to do this for this 30-day period. I'm doing this for us. And, having that support system, because if you, like you said, if you surround yourself with a bunch of positive people, you're going to be positive. A bunch of successful people, you're going to be successful. But if you surround yourself with a bunch of negativity, odds are you're going to end up being negative about a situation. So make sure that you put in the work. When you come to that crossroad, make a decision on something that's going to make you happy because you did the self-reflection, you know it's going to make you happy, and then go all in and get that support system around you, and you're going to set yourself up to be successful out there. So with that, anything to add on there about that? Or
one of the other things is just kind of keeping it simple and not looking too far out into the future. Obviously have your 1-year goal, your 5-year goals, but making sure that on a day-to-day you're just to the next appointment and
enjoying
then
the moment and go on
with the person that you're with. Love the one you're with.
Yep.
Take time, get that situated, go through it, and then you're on to the next one.
Yep.
No matter the outcome, you're just always on to the next one. For me, being a Patriots fan, really easy to follow Bill Belichick's thing, just on to the next one, So
do
just making sure that you're just taking it appointment by appointment,
and that ties in too with the Patriots mantra there that you're talking about is on to the next one, or their other mantras, do your job, right? So when you're out there, focus on the moment and focus on what your job is or what it is you need to do. Don't start stressing or worrying about outside influences, the weather, the this, that, if you start doing that, it takes away from your focus. And for you to be the most successful, you have to be 100% focused in and dialed in on what you need to do in that moment, in that day. And like you said, don't be looking too far down the road. Obviously, it's important to have those goals. That's the roadmap to success or your vision. But when you're out there grinding each and every day, you need to focus on that moment and what it is you need to get done. And that really will help, if you do that for a period of time, like we've been talking about, you're going to look back and be like, oh, wow, look how far I came, or look how far we came. And that's because you've been focused in and dialed in on your mission. So, all right. So with that being said, I'd like to thank Taylor once again for all his hard work and joining us here on the No BS Show. As always, be money, be great, and make it a great day.